DYOR Guardians, what's up? Thank you for passing by. My name is Phil, and I am from Mints and Drops. And today, Hederian DRAGONS is on the show. Ring the alarm, Brazilian horn, everything. One of my best friends out here, he's launching this week. Gen 1, Drop 2's got the entire package, Steam, board play, everything, mutuality. We've talked about a whole array of things. Enjoy. It's going to be amazing for sure, man. Hederian Dragon, Sai, what's up? Thank you so much for even taking the time to pass on the show, brother. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for inviting me on, Phil. Good to be here. Seen a few of these podcasts with some good people. So yeah, happy to be here talking to you.
It's a pleasure. We had, a couple of times, we've chatted through VC, and I just thought that it'd be great, to have you, seeing you on the show, hearing the voice. It truly changes something. So instead of just keeping that conversation for one another, we could share it, right?
Yes, why not?
Where to start, man? I mean, you're an OG in this space. Okay, let's just start up with that. And by OG, I mean, of course, not original gangster, but you've been there since the jump. Okay, you've been there since the very jump. Since your top 10, the projects that I've seen on the H, going for it. So wow, there's so much to say. How's everything been? Before we all even dive into
I mean,
next week.
It's a bit of a crazy thing, really, isn't it? Like just everything that's happened. So, I mean, I've loved every minute of it. It's just you start off kind of learning about all this stuff, and then the more you see it kind of implemented in its infancy stages, you kind of think, oh, well, where's this going? And then the more you get into it, the more you see the potential, and the more you realize how little of the potential you're seeing, right? Because that's kind of what I try to tell myself every day now as well, is that like we can see the potential and we have conviction in what's possible in this space, but we have to remind ourselves how small our brains are and how much we haven't seen, right? And so it's always been so exciting being involved, and to actually be there to witness the basic infrastructural building blocks being built is just, I mean, it's you and I know we'll look back on it one day and be like, wow, that was some time, right? Right now we still don't really know how. No. I mean, like we know there'll be some fond memories, there'll probably be some bitter memories as well, but it's kind of wild to think that we're going to be looking back on this in the future and remembering it as such a wild time in our lives, being here in the kind of seeds of this whole new universe that's being built. So I mean, I just enjoy every minute of it. I'm trying to look for opportunity to be a part of the innovation of the network because I'm enjoying it so much. I want to stay around, and I'm pleased to be using Hederian Dragons as the platform for that. And I'm pleased the way that we're doing it, kind of growing organically and looking to build from the community and for the community, and just be open to lots of magic that's going to be happening over the next couple of years in the space. And hopefully be a part of creating some of it too. So just enjoying it, putting out what we think is good work, and hopefully bringing lots of value to our community, and definitely taking a lot of value from the community and from other creators and builders and projects in the space. It's just a wild ride, and it's a pleasure to be on.
It is, and before we even dive deeper, I gotta say you're hands down and no smoke. Hands down one of the best people I love to talk to. Anything, of course, Web3, JPEGs, whatnot, but infrastructure-wise, it's true. Infrastructures, ecosystems, just core concept, IDs. I spoke about right before we press record, right? That I have to have a coffee just to, because genuinely speaking, everyone knows, that you're up there, and you got to keep it, your A game, when engaging. But it truly is fun, to have someone who's genuinely building for real, and we'll have a go at it, later on in the show. But man, even the auctions you're doing, truthfully and genuinely just doing it like to share, to bring awareness, to say, hey man, we are here, we are building something, you know, that's past the JPEG, past the flipping, past the NFT, you know, let's grow and do something concrete, man. So you are hands down in the leading group for sure. And man, big shout out, man. I mean, we see it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it does mean a lot to hear that, because you know, when you're so deeply in a project, it's sometimes difficult to get perspective. But
Yeah.
it's really funny because obviously all of us have changed, right? It's just crazy, and it wasn't long ago that people were saying like the whole "in it for the tech" thing was a bit of a meme once upon a time, right? But it feels like everyone on Hedera is just like getting pulled in by this ultra accessible, low barrier to entry kind of tool, which can empower us to do all these kinds of things and implement all our ideas. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to be a part of it, and it's just wild to think now that people like you and I, we are here for the tech and for the community and all the things that, you know, and this whole hybrid thing which is coming out of the space. It's just amazing to see it mutate.
It is.
And see us mutate, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and what's even baffling is that sometimes we just move on and we advance, but we don't know precisely what we're doing, right? It's just like it feels like every step sometimes is a first, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to try this out, and very often it doesn't work. Same thing for my show, same thing for, you know, anything you're doing right now, because everything feels groundbreaking, and that's why, you know, it's fun to have a core set of network of friends, you know, like you, where you can throw ideas and, hey, will this work? Yes, no, maybe not, or kaput, you know. So it's an experience.
Yeah, sure.
Straightforward question, you know, really, and I think I never asked you this before, and why dragons? You know, when you started this up, you know, it could have been bears, could have been anything, but why Sai chose dragons, you know, casually?
Well, I mean, I don't know why necessarily, but like I've always kind of been fascinated by East Asian culture. I got into kung fu when I was very young because I was totally inspired by Bruce Lee and and Jackie Chan and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I loved the Rockies and that stuff as well. But yeah, I was really fascinated by East Asian culture, and then I met my wife when I was doing kung fu in Hong Kong. And
wow,
17 years together a couple of weeks ago now, and kind of I spent some time living.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, spent some time living in Hong Kong, and yeah, I mean it's the Western version of dragons I've never kind of really got, because it's kind of this whole ferocious beast kind of thing. But the East Asian version is this kind of mythical, mysterious, noble, luck-bringing creature. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just fascinating, right? Who doesn't have that of born intrigue towards and curiosity towards dragons and the lore that goes around them?
You did kung fu in Hong Kong?
Well, I was only there for like a conference thing. I wasn't there studying full time, but yeah, we went there and I met my wife on the first day, the first pub that we went into, and then the rest is history, basically.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. All right. Nice. Hey, next week, Gen 1, drop 2, big hype. Video is bonanza. What's up with that? It's crazy. You know, I got chills right here. What's up? Yeah. It's really nice.
Cool. Well, yeah, again, I appreciate that. You know, like that I did like a few different videos for that, and that was my first like 3D animations for that. So it took a long time.
You did it?
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I did it on this one, the 3D ones.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Elysian's been teaching me well in the arts of the 3D, and so I'm attaching.
Shout out to Elysian.
Yeah, big shout out to Elysian. But yeah, drop 2, 80 new dragons, or Origins NFTs as we call them, and then another 800 new trading cards. Same deal as usual. We've got early access for crystal egg holders. That's going to be at 2 p.m. UTC on Friday, the 9th of December. And then we've got public sale 24 hours later at 2 p.m. UTC on the Saturday, the 10th of December. You meant your Origins NFT or your dragon, you get 10 matching trading cards for your dragon. You can take those trading cards, trade with your friends, sell them, keep them, do whatever you like with them. And then, so you'll get staking rewards for your dragons, and you'll get community rewards and all kinds of other rewards for having the dragons. And then you can take the cards that you trade to play in our games, and unplay to earn rewards. That's on Steam and in Discord. We've got our upcoming Discord game coming as well. So lots of utility, new dragons, and hopefully some new members of the community, and lots more fun to come, pretty much. And yeah, that's just next Friday and Saturday. Really excited to see more dragons in the wild.
Same, because the trading game, because of course I'm a holder, okay, and the trading card concept is really fun, because you get 10 cards right when minting a dragon, and just to be able to trade it up with friends. I had a blast, I'm not gonna lie. Was it in July that the first drop?
I guess somewhere around.
Yes. I had a blast. I'm not gonna lie. I truly had a blast. Okay, wow, this one's my favorite. Okay, wow. You're not even looking at the stats, right? You're just going for the art first, and then then you realize there's perks and whatnot, and this whole concept of again sharing, and that's another point we're gonna bring on later, mutuality. But it truly is fun where you trade, and that's the sharing concept.
I never foresaw the trading part being probably the most enjoyed part about the trading cards. Is like people just loved
it's fun
trading with each other, and all of it, like almost, I think I mediated like 2 trades out of what must have been hundreds
out of hundreds,
trades behind the scenes. And
I did 8 myself, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I came up with the idea, because some people said kind of, oh, why don't you just give us all a bunch of cards of different kinds? And it was like, well, that's kind of not the fun of it, right? You want to encourage people to trade with each other, because that's part of the fun. But I definitely never foresaw it. I never foresaw myself being that into it particularly. Like I was just like, yeah, I want that card. And I got rejected a few times, which I was a bit kind of pissed about. But
what were you pissed about? Right? Okay.
Well, I wasn't pissed about it. I just thought kind of, I wanted that. and that's the emotion you're supposed to have, right? You're supposed to supposed to be like huddling together. Do you want to trade that? Nah, don't want that, mate. Sorry. Do better. That's how trading is supposed to be. It takes you back to those school days when you're collecting stickers or whatever it was, and you got some duplicate shinies, and you could go and trade those for whatever you want. And I mean, it's really cool. One thing I think people have underestimated with the trading cards is, in the game at least, the cards with less high attribute values and less strengths, they not just as useful in the game, but they're just as important in the game as the really powerful cards. So I think when we start doing our H-bar play to earn more regularly, which I'll probably start doing when the market's in a better place than it is, just because then we can kind of give people really big rewards. But when that's live, I think people will realize they're sleeping on maybe some of the less desirable cards, because they can be quite useful in the game. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I was so pleased to see everyone enjoying the trading. But all I can say is I was really pleased that no one got ripped off by each other. But I don't encourage it, because anything.
For sure, humans. Yeah.
So I'll happily mediate if anyone wants me to. I know they probably won't. And we do have a very tight-knit kind of diamond hand community in Hederian Dragons, but hopefully we'll get some new members coming in this week, and they, as well as the existing community members, should be respectful of the space we're in.
Yeah. Well, that's that's the basics. And what platform are you launching on?
HBAR Suite,
It's
their launch pad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent. All right.
yeah.
All right. Great. Yeah.
So
Great
that should be
partner.
nice and clean. For this one, the origins is going to be the same as it ended up last time. So the origins will go out as you mint, and then we'll be doing an airdrop for the trading cards. So there will be some delay, I'd imagine, between the origins and the trading cards. I would say please be patient, because I know when everyone's got their origins, they're going to want to get into that trading. So I'll get to that as soon as I possibly can, hopefully very soon after. But it all depends on how we mint and when we mint out as well, because that will be once we've minted out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is. I'm hyped. I'm not gonna lie. I am. We've. You're the one actually who found the word, because I think I had it in French, but that's the common round where we found out that was the best approach to maybe have that feeling where this is a proper word, and it's still in movements, right? A bit. It's still in movement, and maybe it's still not on point. But for now, I feel like this is it. Mutuality. You're the one who brought this word up to me in our numerous VCs, where we talked about about having this network of friends where you can go stronger, and not having like more people having a biggest piece again of the pie, but having a bigger pie, right? And you're one who understands this the most, 100%. You truly are bringing it into the space. We see it. How for sure you need a copyright on this one. How do you do? We're going to share the shares for sure. How do you perceive it all inside our ecosystem? This mutuality thing. Of course, we're seeing it at Creamlands. We're seeing with you again. I've talked to you about many times our partnerships. Of course, the auctions you've been doing. It's absolutely selfless. You've been doing it. How do you all perceive it inside our ecosystem right now? This mutuality.
I don't think it's a new thing, to be honest. I think in the kind of regular world, the Web 2 world, as we call it, like everyone recognizes that there are many instances where working together is more productive and fruitful than working in isolation. But the difference with Web 3 is that because of the kind of nature of and the kind of digital proximity we have in Web 3, when we're kind of developing a community around a network like we are, and we've got lots of people of different skills who can reach out to each other at a moment's notice, and the space is alive 24 hours and all these kinds of things, there's like real opportunity. Like we're all trying to carve out this slice of the kind of NFT crypto future. It's just the idea of using our skills, community, and like kind of digital proximity to work meaningfully together and be stronger than we would be standing alone, essentially. But I mean, we've got lots of these pillars of the community, like important people like yourself who are doing stuff and bringing value to the space. Those pillars aren't as useful standing alone as they can be, as part of something bigger. So I mean, it's just common sense. I think realistically, it's just that Web3 in its decentralized nature gives us something to leverage in order to actually achieve it. Because in the Web2 world, people acknowledge it, but they don't always act on it. And I think in Web3 it's the same. But personally, I like working with people who see the value of that. Because when you say like, oh, it's totally selfless, it's not totally selfless at all.
Yeah, for sure.
it's not.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll be as honest as anyone is about that. Like,
I just feel like the percentage shifts. Instead of being like, I don't know, say usually it's 90% and 10, like 90% being okay, I'm gonna care about my bag, and 10%, maybe my friend's gonna be making it. Maybe the percentage, or maybe the way those percentage are moving, maybe that's where the value of this mutuality is. And for sure, it's not entirely selfless. I'm not doing this entirely for somebody else. That would be absolutely foolish. And of course, you would be lying.
Yeah,
but
let's be real.
Yeah, for sure. We all want the better ourselves.
But there are many instances in life where being selfish doesn't mean being doesn't mean forfeiting being selfless. It doesn't mean that you have to be. It's like, especially in these early stages, it's not a zero-sum game. It really is not. If we take the pillars of the community that we have and we bind them strong, then they can have a role to play. You know, that's what I put it down to fundamentally, is this notion that if we are bullish about the future of Hedera and NFTs and crypto, then we are foreseeing big institutions and big money coming in and leveraging the tools that we are leveraging to do things that are highly competitive. And what we need to do is engineer our position as members of this community so that we are competitive with those people that are going to be coming, so that we are useful to those people. Because if we're just here as spectators, or if we're here just to play, then we're not really useful. But if we're organized, right, then we can still be decentralized. We can still do our own thing, but we know how to selfishly and selflessly use each other so that we can all remain competitive as this space evolves.
Mic drop. That truly is it. Yeah. In my opinion too, and you know that's why I believe we have pretty much the same core network of, you know, the people who we like to pick our brains up and, you know, have a conversation about, you know, ours. Elysian is one of them for sure. Shout out he's really rocking for sure. I've only had the chance, you know, to speak to him through the auctions he's been doing, but again, it's the same kind of brain where, you know, you just know that you're stronger if you're working genuinely with somebody else, you know, that shares the same value and core concept of you going forward, but in a way that, okay, this is the pack figure that I want to bring. And then it's not even
bridging. It's about being smart, about bridging, like having a clear kind of way of empowering the community to be useful for itself, and being honest with each other as well. Whether with a situation, that's what, when I'm discussing partnerships with people, I tell them what I want to get out of this, and what I want, and I tell them the selfish reasons why I'm doing something, and then I pitch them the reasons that it's good for them selfishly too, right? Like that's you just be completely transparent about that, so you can still have a friendly relationship with people, because that's the risk when when you try and turn a community and friendships into something that has a monetary dimension. There's always a risk there, right? But so that's the way to do it. Is just, well, at least that's the way I'm approaching it, is to just be totally transparent. This is the business side of it. I want to do it with you because you're my friend, but this is how this is how I'm presenting it as a business, because obviously that's what we're trying to build.
It is. It's absolutely a company that you're building. You know, people not seeing and refusing to acknowledge that, you know, and still playing, you know, in the kindergarten, thinking that this NFT thing is just for fun. Well, they're the ones who will not last for sure, because this, you know, when you're starting to add really layers, and you see past the point where, okay, I'm going to draw something to, you know, just sell it off or have fun on secondary, whatnot, making bars or whatever, you rapidly, in my opinion, you know, get to a point where you say, okay, well, I'm going to need, first of all, partners, colleagues, because I cannot do everything myself, unless if you're called Psy and you do this by alone for 6 months.
The way I put it is, you be serious about having fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Because as a consumer in this space, like it's fun. Whether you're a creator or a collector, like being a part of the space, and consuming what it has to offer, it is really fun. And if you sacrifice that for the business elements, then obviously you're going to miss the mark. So it's about having clear vision and milestones and the ability to execute in such a way that just brings people more of the same goodness and taps those little. That's what I spend a lot of time doing now, is just like observing what project. I always cite Hot Dog Hustle and Cretes and projects like that. Like, there's no point in putting us all in the same pigeonhole, because clearly you couldn't be a more diverse set of projects right now, considering the circumstances. And they've all got something. They've all got something, right? And when people talk about utility and all this stuff, right? All of these projects evidently have some utility to someone, otherwise they'd all be dead. So let's not talk about utility like it's set in stone. Let's not talk about projects like they're all the same, or community communities like they're all the same, that they all have to be big, none can be small, they all have to be one kind of mentality, they can't be another. Like, this is nonsense.
It is.
It's this kind of narrow thinking which is gonna, I mean, like, we're literally, if the life cycle of NFTs was a day, we're on the first second still, right?
Yeah.
If that.
1000%.
So it's exploring
1000%.
those special little kind of sparks of light that you see happening in the space on Hedera and elsewhere, and acknowledging them, because, you know, like you said earlier in your tweet, this is real life.
It is. I just woke up this morning. I was walking by for the subway, whatever, short story, and I was like, wow, this is real life. You know, we're preparing for this. I'm doing this nonstop. You're doing this full time. You know, and more than full time. You're most probably doing this like nearly 100 hours a week for sure. So I was like, wow, let's just kill that term. That's enough. You know, this is it. You know, and yeah,
especially when you constantly hear this. Like, I mean, it's like the most cliched thing from NFT projects. Like, we're going to bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3.
I hate that.
Well, if you don't realize that Web 3 is the same market as, like, if you can't recognize that the Web 2 world is real life, and if you think the Web 2 world is real life and you're not in the real world, then you're never going to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Understanding that we're all the same and my neighbor is no different to me except for like the knowledge that they're working with, like, then you realize, well, hang on, like someone said earlier in a tweet, like art and community isn't really utility. You know, some people go shopping just because they like shopping in the real world. Some people buy NFTs just because they want to satisfy their urge to buy NFTs. That's utility to them. Yeah. You know, like we need to like, if we're going to start really doing that and bridging the gap to Web 2, we need to recognize that it's the same shit. It's all the same thing.
I agree. And I think too that most people has to get free of this time shackles. And I know you disagreed down in chat, but let me make my point. Well, you know, I think that at one point, of course, you have to press play, you know, on the whatever plan you have. Okay, so you have like a roadmap, you have like a game plan. Okay, you're doing this ABC steps, and then okay, boom, I'm pressing play here and here and here. But you amongst, you know, a Nilly crew.
I'm losing you, mate. Hang on.
Oh, are you still hearing me?
Oh, got you back.
Okay, great. So you amongst, you know, an elite crew really understood the time that it takes for you to be outside of time sometimes to really push quality. And of course, I'm not talking about like taking 6 months to do one JPEG or whatever. That's outside of it. But for truly a project or a lead or, you know, an entity to be building something, you know, that's of value and that's concrete and that's organic and that people want to go like, yeah, I need this, you know. You need time, and sometimes you have to create outside what time is it or deadlines or whatever. I know you'll disagree to an extent, but yeah. Sometimes
you need to do that. It's a kind of just a fact of what we're doing, right? That whole element of being organized needs to be there, but that's what those new entrants that we are bullish about, that's what they're going to have to tap, is that secret source that we see in the projects that exist today. I hate using it. I need to find another word because I've used it a few times this week, this word secret source, but that's what it is find out what that's that secret, secret ingredients, like
magic
like,
trick.
We can try and place ourselves to be useful to those entities by being organized, or we can just watch them flood the space and be spectators to it.
So much
stuff. I might be wrong. That's just how you say, like, that's just how I see it. Like, I just think if we're bullish about this space, it has to change a lot, you know. Because otherwise we would already see a lot more adoption than we already have.
For sure. Like, man, with all that being said, you know, of course, like all what you have planned before, what you have planned next, we have planned next is absolutely, it's going to be a fun ride. How do you perceive this entire engagement? Of course, we can talk about socials, and Discord isn't there for sure with Twitter and whatnot. With the markets field, of course, right now it's kind of in a stalemate still, but there's still room for, and I'm not even talking about like the minting rate or even selling out or floor price. That's the side of it. How do you see this whole community engagement right now, say for the like 2-3 months, right after the summer we've had? There was a curve, and after that there were little bumps or big bumps, of course, for projects selling out. How do you perceive this? Is it tangible for you, the engagement, of course, down in Discord and Twitter or towards your project?
What are you talking about, the market on Hedera or crypto or NFTs or all of it?
Let's go for Hedera first, and then we'll see where that goes.
In terms of NFTs on Hedera, I'd say we saw, I mean, obviously the Hedera heatwave, I'd still say it's alive. We've seen a lot bigger volume. We've seen a lot more users come over from other networks, and we've seen some really good projects selling out. I think, honestly, I think the Hungry Baboons mint was probably kind of a point of exhaustion in terms of liquidity. I think obviously there's so much belief there in Hungry Baboons, so a lot of liquidity went into it, and I think the market doesn't necessarily have the momentum to be able to uphold that volume. So I think you'll see daily spikes from here and there from projects minting and things like that. But I think we're looking for some exogenous catalysts, I think, before we get some real excitement. And that's why I think, like, I mean, it all comes down to the crypto markets, really, because obviously we're ranging at these lows at the moment. How long will we be ranging down this end of the charts? We don't know. So I do think that if we stay down at these levels on Bitcoin for the next 6 months, I do think we'll see some pain from creators and collectors as a result. But at the same time, it doesn't feel really worth kind of predicting. Because there's so many variables that can, like, there's so many little catalysts. I mean, potentially the bull market could return after Christmas. We don't know, but all my existing thesis is to kind of just dollar cost average in terms of crypto, and I'm only investing in the projects I have real strong conviction in, which I think have really good fundamentals when it comes to NFTs. Because right now, I think the question I'm asking myself is how many of these projects can last that 6 months. Because I think it could be a rough ride, and I think the strongest projects are gonna probably, that's where the volume's going to be for the next few months. I mean,
we're already seeing it with projects.
It's one of those
right
things.
now.
I'm quite conservative when it comes to these things, so I'm quite heavily in fiat at the moment. Still got plenty of NFTs, still got plenty of HBAR, but I'm just kind of slowly trickling out my dry powder.
Well, that was my next point, where I wanted to, with this whole entire situation, where do you perceive, like, the dragons going out and moving out, not too far away, of course, because again, so many variables at play. How do you perceive this whole dragons going on to 2023 right now, say Q1? Like,
sorry, mate, you're breaking up again a little bit.
I'm sorry. How do you perceive the dragons going on to, like, Q1, not Q2, because that's too far away, right? But Q1, how do you perceive it?
Can you hear me, Phil? You're breaking up a little bit there.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, sorry, can you just repeat the question a little?
1, 2, testing.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, with pleasure. Leading on, not Q2, because that's too far away, but like Q1, where do you see the dragons going on with all this situation right now? How do you perceive this entire project leading on to the beginning of the year?
Yeah, well, in terms of the market, I'm not really considering that relevant to the project as such. I mean, we've got enough liquidity and things happening to keep the project fun, keep the project progressing. We've got several teams building out several different things. The hope is that Dragma.io will be launched in Q1, which will be, we're really excited about that because it's going to not just bring a lot more utility to Hederian Dragons, but to a number of projects, hopefully the whole of Hedera, in terms of NFT projects, and bring us some new doors that we can explore for the use cases and fun that can be had with tokenization. So yeah, honestly, I don't really, in terms of my personal portfolio, I'm looking at the markets, but in terms of Hederian Dragons, I'm not really looking at the markets. It's just a case of we've got numerous milestones to hit on several different things that we're working on, and so it's just a case of waking up, getting to work, and ticking off the milestones, basically.
Cutting down the trees. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best too for me, you know, and you know, I try to do the same, you know, with this very channel and with Vincent Drops. So, you know, it's such a stalemate, you know, above that. I'm just gonna keep an eye out, of course, but at the same time, I'm just gonna keep on hammering down and axing down some trees until, you know, whatever happens, and when everything comes back, you know, I'm gonna be ready with tools. I'm gonna be ready with whatever comes next, or visuals or whatever. So I think that's the best course of action.
That's where it does get kind of interesting with the markets, is that, you know, like, as I say, we've got like 3 different things being built out at the moment. When they get close to completion, it's going to be that question of, you know, like, when you're in a bear market, what is the marginal return for everything that you put out, right? If I bring out a new tool in a bear market, what difference is it going to make to the project compared to doing that in a bull market, or when the euphoria is really set in? So you, like, I mean, I suppose like a hype project probably wouldn't do anything or release anything in a bear market. They just kind of hoard it all for the bull market and really reap the volume. To be honest, I'm personally, whilst I will be considering that, my weight personally is on, I've got holders, and my NFTs aren't just there to be valuable, they're there to bring value. And so while my holders are observing anything that's happening in the markets, and when they're kind of watching the floor price of maybe some of their other NFTs struggling, they're going to be using our NFTs to have fun and do stuff and make connections and enjoy. Our NFTs are not there to populate a wallet. They're prime. Well, at least for some people, they might primarily there to occupy a wallet. But for me, like, if you're holding something, regardless of what your motivation was, I want to bring you value just for holding, so that it's not just something that's I don't want people to think of it as an investment. I want them to think of it as a product that they want to enjoy. And the bear market is the best time for them to enjoy it.
I agree.
If your product's useless in a bear market, then it might be useless in a bull market. Let's be honest.
I agree 100%. You know, and you know, not financial advice. You know, the casual thing, but I'm pretty much enjoying the very same thing I'm enjoying right now. The same. I'll go like the same 15 projects. You know, 20 projects as I did back in summer, as I did back 6 months ago, or of course there were new ones, you know, adding up to the list. But I still see value inside a project. Of course, first and foremost, for me, it's time that I invest in. And that's why, you know, I always say time inside a project, time inside markets, however you want to put it. And equally in that is the person or the people behind the project. And that's unfailable to me. That's immutable. You see it right away. You know, you see it right away, because if you engage conversation and you're always in Discord, you know, answering all the questions. If you're, you know, you're just having a chat with somebody, having a chat with a friend, you pick their brains, you know the questions, you see that what they have is concrete. Well, then, I mean, what's the difference? You know, who cares? Who cares about HBAR's price point right now if you're building something concrete? So that to me, that's my yeah, those are my steps to
I think
found everything up.
something that I excuse me, something I don't
Bless
talk
you.
about much, but something I do consider a lot is this notion of community being important to a project, right? Like,
Yeah.
community is important to every project. But with the number of projects, community perhaps cannot be important in every project. I don't know. One thing I would say is that different projects are bound to have different communities. But I do kind of think like ultimately projects are competing for their community, and that's where that's where bringing in tooling and platforms where the community can rally around and enjoy with each other, that's where you can differentiate. Because ultimately, if you compare the communities across Hedera, we're just one big community. Let's be honest. You don't need to hold NFTs to enjoy our community. But if you're actually thinking about what you're asking from your community, all you're asking from is their support. And if they like your product, then they'll use your product. If your product doesn't have a use, then maybe it's just the artwork. That's, for me, that's still a use. But I think,
yeah, that's a great angle. Yeah.
It's one thing having a community, but what, like, ultimately, like, beyond pumping their own bags, that's where the gold is. Because community is not a bunch of people collectively pumping their own bags. That's not a community. A community is people who like each other, they support each other, they do fun stuff together, they get value from each other, like, and you have to compete for that community, and different communities will have different demands, but ultimately that's what you've got to do, is you've got to bring value to your community in some form. Obviously we're just exploring any way we possibly can, because we love innovating in the space, and we feel like our community loves that we're on that journey.
Yeah. Mic drop. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm on the same vibes, that's I feel like, again, building a core network of people not necessarily has the exact same opinions, but the same core concept of values. To me, that's where the juice is, and especially sharing it. That's where you build something that's concrete, and that's something that's organic, and that's something that lasts, especially in the tough times right now.
It doesn't matter if I'm not in your Discord every day. Because if I'm bullish on you and your vision and the mechanics behind the project, and I like the artwork and I want the NFTs, I can still be enjoying your community in my own Discord, right? Because it's all the same community, right? We can all enjoy the Hedera community regardless of our NFT holdings. What we want is our NFT holdings to bring us value. Some people want that to be qualitative, some want it quantitative. Obviously, the way that I see things is that you want both if you can get that from a project. It's just making people happy, and different projects do different things, different communities want different things, and like, we have to acknowledge these things if it's gonna work.
100%. How do you, being full legions that we are, and right now that we know that in real life doesn't exist, this is life, period. How do you how do you, because of course we all get families, we all get, how do you balance things out, because that sphere that we're all in, it's kind of crazy, because you just tip your toes, right? Because you discover usually like crypto, okay, what's this, then NFTs, and you realize that you're passing 5 hours a week, and then that becomes 5 hours a day, and that becomes 6 hours a day, and that becomes 10 hours a day.
I'll tell you, for me, like, I'm the kind of person, I'm like, oh, what's crypto? And then I'm 10 hours a day from the next day. I just, like, when I find something interesting, I have to dive in, and it's impossible to distract me once I'm in. I don't know what I've got, but I've definitely got something. I'm sure of it. But if I'm passionate about something, then I am head first, and you can talk to me, but you may as well be talking to a door, because my head is in one place and one place only. So it has taken some. I mean, I'm still working on it, because it's not just working in the NFT space for me personally. It's working from home. working from home has its own set of challenges. I've got a 9-month-old son who was born in March, and when I'm there working in my house, my wife's looking at me thinking, "Well, he's here," and I don't blame her, and I want to be there, right? But if I want to get into the zone and really do some work, then it's those things that are difficult to juggle. So I'm still working on it. I'm sure we're all still working on it. Like every day, you speak to people saying they're working on it, but it's a lot easier said than done once you've gone down the rabbit hole. But yeah, always working on it, pretty much. Not always doing a good job, but trying to do my best.
Yeah, that's constantly it, family wise and out here wise, again, because we not only always know what to do, especially with, well, whether that's children or a project. I mean, both of them have so much in common, but yeah man, I mean, it's this balance can be tough sometimes, but as soon as we have a great communication,
the world we live in is not conducive to it, let's face it.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for even taking the time.
These conversations as well, right? Like when we talk, we're like, you think it's going to be 10 minutes, it ends up being an hour.
I didn't look at the time. What time is it? Wow, that's okay. That's less than an hour. That's chill. That's chill. By our standard, by your standards, that's super great, man. I mean, let's run it again for an even lengthier one. Hey, thank you, Sai, for passing by. That was concise. That was great. That was, that was exactly how I perceived it. That second coffee truly hit, and it helped to follow your lead inside your brain. I truly value your opinion. I say this on the mic. I say this off the mic. You're one of my great friends out here, and I wish you nothing but luck leading on to this week and afterwards, and the project overall. You're one true builder in Hederian, and that's for sure. Keep on slaying, and yeah.
Thank you, Phil, and yeah, thank you for the invite, and same to you. Good luck.
It's a pleasure.
Excited for you and pleased for you that you've taken the jump, and you're doing a great job so far. People around the community love you. It's just a fact, and yeah, keep it up. Can't wait to see where it goes.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Cheers, Phil. Thanks,
care.
mate. Bye.
Cheers. Sai, thank you so much for your presence today on the show. Thank you, every single one of y'all who passed by to the show today. I truly appreciate that. Second coffee was an absolute necessity, and saluted to follow Sai's brain. I truly enjoyed my time with him. Every single one of the conversation I'm having with him is a blessing. He's one of my greatest friends out here, because, he's resilient, he's a gentle savage, he's a golden-hearted slayer, and much respect to what he does, and best of success. And Barbarians, I will see you on the next show. Have an amazing day, and